Government regulation. What does it mean? Where is it going to go with regard to tobacco? Tom Cacadelis is with us. He's the owner of 2 cigar stores, including Outland Cigars. OutlandCigars.com is that website. Tom, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tom.
I understand that the FDA is proposing new regulations that would say that premium handmade cigars, which is what you sell or make in one of your stores, correct me, tell us the details here, would put this under the jurisdiction of laws that regulate tobacco in cigarettes, and you're concerned about the impact of that on your business. Do I have this to set this discussion up? Do I have those details right?
For the most part, Tom, yes. The FDA has decided to assimilate into their jurisdiction based upon the 2009 Family Tobacco Prevention and Control Act, which was signed into law by the President, which would bring those federal regulatory overreach into the life of those of us who enjoy a premium cigar.
Right. Okay. When you have 450,000 Americans die every year from tobacco, and a significant portion of them, because of the way that our healthcare system is organized, are dying at the expense of Medicaid or Medicare. In other words, you and I are paying for them. Why is it that we should not regulate you who are providing them with that substance that's killing them? It sounds to me like this isn't a regulation of you, it's a subsidy of you that you're concerned is going away.
No, Tom. What it is the federal government has a responsibility that extends based upon the laws that are written. I mean, that's what government is limited to. The problem is when you define what a cigar is and what it actually does in comparison to cigarettes, it's not even close. Cigar smokers, by and large, live longer, eat less, have less stress, and actually do not get lung cancer based on those proportions that you were talking about before.
Cigar smokers, hang on just a second, Tom. Cigar smokers do get cancer at higher rates than non-smokers. They get, in particular, mouth cancer and stomach cancer, but they also get lung cancer at higher rates than non-smokers.
That's just not so, Tom. But you can believe that if you like. The thing is that the federal government's role in enforcing those regulations is the problem. When you give the responsibility to a federal agency to oversee regulations of that nature, the cost is passed on to everybody. And those costs for regulation then lie within what the consumer ends up having to pay and the small business owner has to pay. I'm a small business. We're a mom-and-pop organization.
Right.
But we're one of 3,800 small businesses that sell premium cigars.
Right.
Now, if you want to look at the regulatory issues regarding cigarette smoking, that's one thing. But when you take a look at cigars in general, no additives are created to be manufactured with those like cigarettes, over 500 additives. And the premium rolled cigar industry really is limited to less than 2% of the adult population. So when you do that for a legal substance, the arguments around what the federal government is using to overreach into this area is that it appeals, that these flavored cigars appeal to children. Well, that, on the first off, is just not so, and especially if you look at it in comparison to marijuana. And I don't know if you've been in a marijuana store lately, but there's gummy bears and peach-flavored candy rings.
Yeah, I've never been in a marijuana store, but
and all kind of other things.
Yeah, I have some. I think we all have legitimate concerns about those things, but we're talking about tobacco here, and tobacco does kill people. There's no debate on that.
Right. Well, when we're talking about tobacco, and you talk about appealing to children, there's just not an argument. It's a non sequitur when you start.
Well, I'm not making that argument.
Cigars, I know, but I'm saying that's the argument for the regulation.
Maybe for a flavored cigar, but tell me how in your business you're going to be affected by this regulation. What does this regulation require you to do differently than you're doing right now?
Four things. It does four things. The first thing it does is it adds a cost that does not that is passed along to the manufacturer.
What is that cost?
It's the cost to get your cigar approved for sale. That's a $20,000 to $50,000 charge that would be added to a cigar that's entering the market.
Is that per year, per business, or per cigar?
One time per cigar, based on each size of that blend. So if you have one blend of cigars and it comes out in 7 sizes, you pay that fee 7 times.
Okay, but this is not on each individual cigar. This is on this line of cigars that you might sell.
One cigar line, one blend.
Right, that you might sell for a year.
6 or 7 sizes, correct.
Right. Okay, so the federal government is basically saying if you want to have the right to sell something that's going to cause death and disease that we're going to have to pay for, you're going to have to pay $20,000 a year for each one of the cigars you make that you want to have that right to make that cigar. How is that not just a small cost of business that gets distributed over a lot of cigars? And even if the price of cigars go up.
No, that's just one fee. That's just one fee. That's just to get it approved. Okay? Then the limitation extends to access to cigars.
Right.
So now you maximize the exposure because you minimize the price that a cigar can be sold for. What they're agreeing to is $10 per cigar, and that particular thing is impossible to control. In New York, a $10 cigar is an inexpensive cigar. Down in Louisiana, a $10 cigar is a very high-priced cigar. So based on the taxes and based on the differences by state, it's nearly unenforceable to expect a cigar to be at one price nationally. Okay, that's the second thing. The third thing is that there's a cost that manufacturer passes on with every cigar and every part of their line, and there are now 4,000 plus lines that are available to small business.
Okay, I'm looking at the law itself. And the law itself says the term tobacco product means any product made or derived from tobacco that's intended for human consumption, including any component, part, or accessory of a tobacco product, except for raw material other than tobacco used in manufacturing a component or part or accessory of tobacco product. This law is applying to everybody who is selling tobacco. You, snuff manufacturers, non-premium cigars, cigarette manufacturers, loose tobacco manufacturers.
But we're saying
I don't get why you're complaining. When I started smoking in the early '60s, I was 12 years old. Cigarettes were, as I recall, 15 or 20 cents a pack, and now they're what, $4 a pack, $5 a pack. I mean, it's been a lot of years. $7. Shane says $7 a pack, and I would submit to you that this is nicotine is 5 times more addictive than heroin. This is a seriously addictive drug. And people are not going to stop using it just because it's more expensive. I mean, that's history tells us that.
They're not going to stop using it, but they're going to put small businesses like myself out of business because the larger retailers who employ a few people will put those of us who employ 10, 11, or 12 people out of business because I can't afford to sell it and make a profit at that price.
Should we as a country say, if a guy is
that the invasion of federal government and regulation like this doesn't stop with cigars, and it hasn't begun with cigarettes. So the argument is if the federal government wants to prevent bad health, they've got an unattainable task.
Because your substance is so addictive, people will figure out a way to get it?
Tom, people in a free society are free to do things that you don't think is a good idea.
I'm not disagreeing with that. The point that I'm making is that if you want all of us to pay for the health care costs of your customers...
Well, no, because what you're saying is that you'd rather put people out of business and make it unaffordable than allow people to make those decisions.
Yeah, I am saying that. I think that a business that kills people is not necessarily a legitimate business. But Tom Kakadelis... people can read about it at outlandcigars.com. Thank you for dropping by. You did a good job defending your product. Thank you, Tom.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
So what do you think? Should we be promoting tobacco? Because, hey, there's some people making some money running small businesses.